That's the project.
I arrive at my stop just as the sun is swallowed up by the horizon. As soon as I get off the omnibus, I walk down the street towards the aristocrat housing complex where the cafe is located. My steps are quick, but not hurried. I should be able to reach the cafe in 10 minutes. It's strange, though. The street is empty. Usually there are lots of people at this hour coming home from work. I'm about to turn left onto the street that leads to the aristocrat complex, but then I stop. Across the street, a middle-aged man is hunched near a wall. There are patches of blood soaking through his suit. I run to the man and squat down beside him. "Are you okay? What happened?" The man grunts in agony. I reach out my hand to him. "Transform." For a second, his body glows white. Then the light disappears along with his wounds.
Thank you, miss.
What happened to you?
The proles. They suddenly attacked and robbed me.
The proles robbed you?
Yes, but they didn't look like your average proles. They were like a group of criminals. There were 5 or 6 of them, and one seemed to be their leader.
Where did they go? The man points a shaking finger at the street opposite the aristocrat complex.
That way.
I quickly get up and begin to walk.
Miss, it's dangerous! Don't go by yourself!
I leave the man and head to where he pointed. I fully realize the danger, but I just can't leave this alone because there may be more people who need healing. Besides, I'm curious about the proles who did this. They sound like Libertad. As I run, I hear the sound of magic. Fire, water, wind, and earth magic is being cast not far from me. There are men screaming and shouting. I soon see a group of men fighting the police. As the man has told me, there are 5 or 6 proles. A similar number of policemen are set against them. It looks like the policemen are having a hard time defending against the proles who are barraging them with a series of magic spells. The proles are definitely Libertad. Why does Libertad still exist? Since when does Libertad engage in a fight with the police in the middle of the city? When did they become so strong? And then I notice a man standing a safe distance away, watching the battle. This man is also Libertad, but he's somehow different. The cloak he wears has a hood that covers most of his face. Even as the other Libertans are fighting strenuously, the man looks calm. His face is expressionless, without any signs of panic or worry. Yet even though his body doesn't move, I can see that his eyes are full of determination. This man is deeply engaged in the battle, watching its every move intently. But again, that's not quite it. He's not watching intently exactly. He's like a supreme being who is watching life unfold according to his grand design. He's anticipating what he's watching as the battle unfolds. Meanwhile, the Libertans and the policemen continue to exchange magic attacks. A few seconds later, the man raises his right hand slowly, until it is as high as his shoulder, his arms straight. The Libertad members stop attacking, take a defensive position, and watch the hooded man's right hand. Is he going to cast a spell? No. Instead of casting a spell, he makes a quick gesture with his hand. The Libertans all nod at each other and swiftly move around the police. They're switching formation! Before the cops respond in turn, the Libertans resume their attack. They cast one magic spell after another. When one of them is finished shooting a fireball, he quickly leaps to the side and moves away without waiting for the fireball to hit or miss its target. Another man immediately takes his place and unleashes the next attack. A policeman summons a flash of lightning at the man who shot the fireball, but instead of dodging, the man stays in formation, summoning a barrier around his body and letting the lightning strike him. A Libertad woman who stays a little farther behind casts heal on the man who was struck by lightning. Soon after, she fills her mana with compassion again, even though none of her friends need healing yet. All the while, the Libertans never pause their barrage of attacks. and they never break formation. Instead of having each man fight an opponent one-on-one, the Libertans move together as a team, taking down each policeman one by one. Individually, a Libertan isn't stronger than a police officer, but as a unit, they easily overpower the police squad. Just a few minutes later, there are no police left standing. The Libertans search the police for mana potions, then quickly leave. Before leaving himself, though, the hooded man looks back. An eye of his meets mine. I stand firmly without moving an inch. Bound whether by wonder or terror, I'm not sure. Should I attack him? No, that's a bad idea. These people easily defeated a team of police officers. I wouldn't stand a chance. Should I run away? Maybe I should. But the man doesn't do anything. He keeps staring at me silently, his face devoid of emotion. Finally, he turns away and leaves. I wait until all the Libertans have left before reviving the cops. The cafe was already full of people when I arrived.
Elise!
The steps with which Mrs. Howard walks to me are long and hurried. I apologize for being late, Mrs. Howard.
Never mind that. Were you attacked?
No, I'm fine.
Thank the gods. Some people were attacked by Libertad. I was afraid you might have been caught up in it too.
I was. Sort of. Don't worry. Nothing of the sort happened to me.
I'm relieved to hear that.
I see a lot of people have gathered for the Salon.
Yes, they have. And with the incident outside, the discussion is going to be very lively. Would you start playing the piano? We'll start in a few minutes.
I'd be happy to, Mrs. Howard.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my salon. I am your saloniere, Anitra Howard. I was going to have us discuss about Magical Mechanical's upcoming press conference and Conservatoire d'Ouverture. As we've heard, Lord Godwin himself will be delivering the keynote address. We still have not been able to confirm what the press conference is about. There have been rumors of a new omnibus model, a commercial version of the calculator, etc., so I was hoping to discuss this. However, not an hour ago, there was an incident near this cafe in which some people were attacked by a proletariat gang. Of course, now it will be quite impossible to avoid this hot topic.
Soft laughter breaks among the audience.
I believe it will make an interesting topic for this evening's discussion, especially because it isn't a secret anymore that this gang is in fact Libertad.
Wasn't Libertad obliterated by the police 5 years ago?
Yes, it was all over the news. The police raided the Libertad hideout at a brothel in the Proles district.
Oh, I knew that brothel.
Oh? How did you know it?
Well...
Ahem.
The police operation was led by Commander Wolf, wasn't it?
Commander Wolf of the Dragoon?
Yes, that Commander Wolf. It wasn't a Dragoon operation, though.
I heard the leader of Libertad was captured in the operation.
And later executed. What was his name?
Theodore Hendricks.
Yeah, Theodore Hendricks. The king ordered his execution a month later.
Was his crime that bad? Wasn't being locked in prison enough?
That man was dangerous. He tried to bring down the monarchy and take over the country.
Calm down, my lord. The man is quite dead.
Excuse me.
Well, he is dead, surely, but evidently there's someone else who's trying to be a second Theodore Hendricks.
Amadeus?
Is that what he's called? Who exactly is that man?
Nobody knows. I heard he suddenly appeared about 2 or 3 years ago and revived Libertad.
So Libertad was gone.
Yes. After Hendricks was captured, Libertad was no more. But then this Amadeus came, and suddenly Libertad was back.
And they're even worse than before. A team of police was defeated by Libertad just now. I can't believe it.
Amadeus must be a very powerful magician. Not only could he bring Libertad back from the dead, he made them into a stronger organization than they ever were before.
Indeed, it's scary to think that a man capable of using that kind of magic is our enemy.
How did Libertad become this dangerous? 5 years ago, I'd never even heard of Libertad until they'd already been captured and sentenced.
There was news of citizens getting robbed by thugs near the outskirts of town.
I see. So those were Libertans. I thought they were only ordinary proles.
Nowadays, Libertad would attack anyone anywhere, even in the middle of the city in broad daylight.
It's not just Libertad. Recently, ordinary proles have been getting more aggressive as well.
Is that so? I thought they were all Libertad.
This is getting out of hand. I wish the police would do something.
What would that something be?
I don't know. Policing better'd be a good start.
Well, I think it is more important to think about what we can do to stay safe.
Very good point. What can we do?
The discussion continues for almost 2 hours. Occasionally it turns into heated debate. But Mrs. Howard always steers the discussion back on topic and keeps the atmosphere polite. After the last guest has left, Mrs. Howard speaks to me.
Thank you for playing the piano, Elise.
It was my pleasure as always, ma'am.
It's getting late. You can leave the rest to me and go home.
Thank you, Mrs. Howard.
Should I get a police officer to escort you? It may still be dangerous out there.
There is no need for that. I will be all right.
Very well. Please be careful.
I will. See you tomorrow, Mrs. Howard.
See you tomorrow, Elise.
There are more cops on patrol tonight than yesterday. The atmosphere of the whole city has changed so much so quickly. I get to my omnibus stop as fast as I can. Libertad. The Libertad I saw earlier this evening were totally different from the group I knew 5 years ago. They didn't cast extraordinary or extremely powerful magic spells against the police, but they won all the same. One was a dedicated healer. The others constantly moved around and targeted the cops one by one, giving them no time to recover. They worked as a team, and the police couldn't handle it. That hooded man didn't cast a single magic spell. He just watched from the sidelines, coordinating the actions of the other Libertans like a conductor in an orchestra. Was this man the leader of Libertad? Was that Amadeus? An omnibus comes not long after I reach the bus stop. I get off the omnibus and head home in the dark and quiet night. As I make my way home, I notice a man's figure from afar, his features concealed by darkness, standing alone in the middle of the otherwise empty street. I stop to look at him. His gaze is fixed on me. He doesn't move. He doesn't look away. He doesn't look aggressive exactly, but I still find his presence intimidating. He's beckoning me to him somehow. He's not moving at all, but I know he wants me to come to him. Is he a Libertan? Is he going to attack me? I carefully make my first step towards the man. He remains motionless. I make another step. The man stands still. He doesn't even move a finger. I can't see his eyes, but I know that he is still staring at me. I walk forward again. Finally, I am close enough to see him clearly. Most of his face, however, is hidden by the hood he wears. He regards me with his left eye, for his hood is covering the other. But even with just an eye, his gaze is unnerving. His eye is like an animal's eye. It's not wild or angry or anything like that, but it's inhuman. Like it would put you under a spell if you gazed into it. And I am gazing into it. We're both silent. Are you Amadeus? You are, aren't you? So where are your underlings? Oh, you probably won't need them to just attack a girl, right? What do you want? Not much of a talker, huh? Is Libertad's leader shy? Are you not going to do or say anything? The man really isn't doing anything. I thought he would secretly gather his magic power and unleash a surprise attack. But as far as I can tell, he isn't doing anything. Could he be really good at hiding his magical aura? But if he wanted to attack me, what is he waiting for? Facing a strong opponent is scary, but one whose intents you can't read might be even more unnerving. But I can't be afraid. I must have courage. Amadeus, you're a criminal. You must turn yourself into the police. My hands are burning hot with mana. At our distance, I doubt even the leader of Libertad could dodge my fire.
Elise.
I drop my intent to attack. The mana I accumulated dissipates harmlessly. Huh?
Elise, come with me.
Amadeus turns away and briskly walks. How did you know my name? Hey! Hey! Amadeus leads me to an abandoned factory on the outskirts of Overture. The factory is a lot like the factory I used to work at, but the building has been abandoned for years. The equipment is old, rusted, and broken. There is no sound of blazing fire from the furnace, no shriek of clanging metal, no clattering of mechanical gears. This factory is long dead.
Do you know this place?
The Libertad leader stands just 10 feet away from me, facing me directly. There is no one but the two of us here. At least none that I can see. If Amadeus attacks me, I'll have nowhere to escape to. Was coming here the right thing?
This is the first magic machine factory in Overture. It was built 30 years ago.
The hooded man speaks slowly and softly. There's no hostility in his tone. Why isn't it used anymore?
Because the company that owned it went bankrupt more than 20 years ago.
Why?
Their products were too expensive. At the time, production cost was much higher than it is today. Aren't you going to ask why?
Why?
Because the minimum wage for factory workers was twice what it is today.
What? Even though half his face is hidden behind his hood? I can clearly see the smirk on Amadeus's face. It's a spiteful look.
There was a shrewd young entrepreneur who had just started his own magic machine production company. He had a brilliant idea to get ahead of his competitors, despite being a newcomer to the industry. Elise, what do you think he did?
I stay silent and just stare into the man's only visible eye. I can't decide whether his gaze now is callous or courteous. Amadeus bends his elbow to gesture his gloved hand up. Something about his movement is unnatural.
Before he even began hiring workers, the entrepreneur lobbied Parliament to pass a bill. The minimum wage was to be lowered, and in exchange, employers would be required to provide mana potions to their employees. Considering the high price of mana potions, this was a great idea for many people. The bill was passed. Of course, the members of Parliament who passed the bill were aristocrats and bourgeois who didn't know or didn't want to know what the implication would be for factory workers. Unlike other lines of work, factory work requires a lot of mana. As I'm sure you know, by the end of the work shift, a factory worker has very little mana left in him. For these workers, access to mana potions isn't a privilege, it's a necessity for work. For the factory owners, mana potions are a means of production. This bill gave the young businessman an edge over his competitors. The other companies couldn't just lower the wages of their existing workers, and replacing them with new workers took time. So this new company quickly rose to dominate the market with lower-priced products. Then, the older company started to shut down. The young company grew bigger by the year. Magic machines became ubiquitous in Overture. Demands for traditional magic work decreased. People who were out of work had no choice but to work in a factory. Factory labor became cheaper. Cheaper labor allowed the company to produce more machines at lower cost. Then it grew even bigger. Thus the cycle continued. With each cycle, factory workers became poorer and poorer. This is how the proletariat became slaves to capitalism. The company's name was Magical Mechanical Limited. The entrepreneur's name was Geoff Godwin, more commonly known as Lord Godwin.
Why did you bring me to this place? Amadeus raises his right arm at me. None of his fingers move.
If I remember correctly, you followed me here.
You told me to follow you! He lowers his arm, again with a strangely stiff motion.
Don't you see, Elise? The factory workers, the proles, are suffering from injustice. As someone who used to work in a factory like this, surely you understand. Magical Mechanical is an evil company. Lord Godwin is greed incarnate. He is perpetuating a great evil on this world. It is Libertad's mission to rid Overture of these evils. Overture is sick. We are the cure. The monarchy, the capitalists, they have stripped the majority of our rights and freedoms. We will take them back. We will rebuild Overture from the ground up. Make a new government of, by, and for the people. There will be no social classes. No aristocracy, no bourgeoisie, no proletariat. We will make a new society where everyone is equal.
A classless society.
Yes. Join us, Elise. Join us so we can build this new country. So we can give the proles the justice they deserve. Were you not a victim of the crimes committed by MM and the bourgeois? Are you not a proletarian yourself?
Am I a proletarian? Am I a proletarian? Or have I become a bourgeois? What am I?
I see. You're not sure yourself. Indeed, you have lived among the bourgeoisie for years. But surely you remember when the world was set against you, when you were routinely denied the opportunity to better your own life. You were lucky to escape that life. Most don't have such luck. It's time you lent your hand to help your brothers and sisters escape their own undeserved fate. Libertad is ready to help you help them. To help all of us.
No.
No?
No. What you're doing is wrong.
What's wrong about helping these people?
You're terrorizing people, not helping them. The bourgeoisie is not the enemy of the proles, yet you're instigating a war between them.
Wrong, Elise. The bourgeoisie has been knowingly letting the proles suffer for their own profit. They have declared war on the proles. We're only doing what is necessary to save our people. Liberty is only for those who are willing to pay the price. Freedom can't be given. Freedom is something one fights for. A man can only be truly free if he chooses to be free of his own free will. So fight we will. Whatever the price.
No. No!
Elise, our society is broken. But there is a way to repair it. You and I can fix it together.
Fix it together?
Our people are made silent, muted by the injustice they suffer every day. But you, Elise, have the power to make them sing the song of liberty.
Amadeus pauses, but instead of waiting for me to speak, he offers his hand to me.
Will you join me in liberating the proles from the tyranny of the bourgeois?
I stare at Amadeus's open hand. If I take his hand, I will join Libertad. I can't do this. Having stared at his hand closely, I finally realize what has been wrong with his arm movement. His hands don't move. At all. The wrists don't bend or rotate. The fingers are extended and stuck together, unmoving. Those are not real human hands. Did he lose his hands? Had his hands been cut off from his arms? Could he be? Are you?
I await your answer. For liberty, Elise.
It's Amadeus!
Amadeus!
Thank you very much, Amadeus. The potions were very helpful.
You're welcome. But the Libertans are not my men. They're my brethren. As are you all.
Why did you wait until we fell to use your magic?
She saved us, not me.
Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome.
Amadeus, why didn't you use your magic to save me?
Amplify!
The man roared. Sensing the return of gravity, much stronger than it was before it vanished, I squeezed the tip of the hose between my bandaged stumps.
Let's do Project